We are ripping through these. So this is the official trailer for Andor. I'm pretty sure there's already an official trailer for Andor. So finally we're doing this again. I feel like I've said a lot about to say about Andor in the previous ones. So I don't know what else I can add here before we go straight into it. Other than it looks pretty decent, but it also looks pretty Star Wars like kind of base level. Maybe a bit more kind of intensity to it. But yeah, let's just not beat around the bush. Let's go straight into this.
Spies. Saboteurs. Assassins. We've all done terrible things on behalf of the rebellion.
Cassian Andor. Don't matter what you tell me or tell yourself. You'll ultimately die fighting these bastards. Wouldn't you rather give it all at once to something real?
We've chosen a side. We're fighting against the dark.
There is an organized rebel effort. Drill down and get a hunt started.
You realize what you set in motion? People will suffer.
Time has come to force their hand.
At what cost?
Everything!
Every day we wait, they get stronger.
Let's take them by surprise.
For the greater good,
Call it what you will.
let's call it war.
People are standing up.
They're afraid. Right now, they're afraid.
Star Wars Andor, 3-episode premiere, streaming September 21st.
4 days, not 5, 4. Yeah, this is there's not much. I mean, well, okay, that had some pretty emotive.
Wouldn't you rather give it all at once?
And pretty emotive trailer we got there. I guess I mean some of the stuff we've already seen before visually, but yeah. So let's just watch through it and pick up what we got. So obviously we've got a very kind of emotive Nazi symbology here of. I mean, I think these are actually clone troopers, not stormtroopers quite yet, but or at least they're in clone trooper armor. Excuse me, marching, goose stepping. And again, I don't think it's deliberate that we have the Empire foot soldiers in pure white armor contrasted with a shot which has at least one, possibly two people of color in the foreground. And I would be very, very disappointed if this show doesn't lead into the whole race conflict aspect, because obviously race conflict is a massive part of fascism, and it's a massive part of I mean the Empire is meant to be both a symbology for Nazi fascism and American imperialism and white supremacy. So, and that is, you can't separate that from white supremacist ideals against people of color. So, and this show obviously with multiple kind of people of color leads, and a diverse rebellion. And then you have members of the Empire who are for the most part quite depicted as kind of white, Aryan, blonde, blue eyes kind of symbology. So I really want the series kind of dig into that a bit deeper.
Spies.
And so this obviously kind of laying into the whole darker aspect of the rebellion, of kind of the dark things I have to do, which I always love. I love when I love when shows like this is what I love about DS9, when it explores kind of war is like dark, war is bad, war is evil. You can't take part in war and not do immoral thing. War is inherently immoral. There's no moral way to fight a war. The only moral way to fight a war is to not fight a war, and we would all love to have a world where we didn't have to fight wars, but sometimes you don't get a choice if you take part in a war or not. If you're forced to take part in a war, you can't then be moral about it. Well, I mean, you can, but you have to. There's only it's only to an extent. Into armor legacy. I forget the words now. But yeah, so. And that's kind of what we're digging into here.
On behalf of the rebellion.
I mean, we already know from Rogue One, it was very much a show don't tell, but then was never really paid off in any kind of meaningful way moment in Rogue One, where you get just Andor and he murders a colleague because he knows that the colleague will give him up if he's captured, and he can't afford to waste time escorting him out, so he basically just in cold blood kills him, like flat out shoots him in the back. And so but that never really got explored in any kind of depth, other than it was kind of the payoff later on when Andor's given the order to kind of execute Jyn Erso's father, and then doesn't do it, and it's like, okay, well, I guess we saw the beginning, the middle, and end of the journey, but not the journey towards it kind of deal, as my issues with Rogue One. So hopefully he's going to dig a bit more deeply into that.
Cassian Andor. Don't matter what you tell me or tell yourself. You'll ultimately die fighting these bastards. Wouldn't you rather give it all at once?
So this is him being recruited. I mean, we see there's an extended clip on YouTube of this scene where he thinks he's just turning up to like deliver a job, and this is when he gets basically recruited, and it's like, oh, well, you know, why wouldn't you, you know, he basically asks him a bunch of questions about his methodology. He's depressing, so to recruit him, and I assume this recruit meeting gets interrupted by people, and that's what we see the firefight for.
To something real.
We've chosen a side. We're fighting against the dark.
And I guess we see a bunch of like different voices here, and I guess it explores different takes you can take in the fight against fascism. We go on to see what's his name? So we see Stellan Skarsgård, Luthen Rael's character, being quite proactive. Like, you know, you've got to get your hands dirty, you've got to like sacrifice a lot to fight against fascism. We see Forrest Whitaker's the existing Saw Gerrera character, basically taking the extremist perspective. We see Geneva Aurelia's Mon Mothma, who apparently is trying to do the whole political way of, you know, non-violence, compromise, and seems to be speaking against a lot of what the other characters are saying. But we know by Rogue One she's like one of the prime leaders of the rebellion, so I wonder if this is where we see her journey of being like, well, you know, you can't take a passive route, you can't take passive routes in your fights against fascism kind of journey here. And then we see a bunch of
Drill down.
a bunch of the Imperials kind of dealing with the rebellion.
Realize what you set in motion.
So okay, here's Mon Mothma's kind of being like, this is, you know,
At what cost?
this everything. We see kind of like the whole like, well, you know, people are gonna die, and he's like, well, no, you have to die to like to win.
They get stronger.
Let's take them by surprise.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
People are standing up. They're afraid. Right now, they're afraid.
And then we see, a whole bunch of hero shots. But like, a lot of actors here are really being very emotive about them being about fascinating fighting. I mean, Wikipedia's saying it's a spy thriller. I think this is more of a war thriller. And you know, war thrillers are the best when they're very kind of emotive and they're very strong. With being about sacrifice in the face of fear. So hopefully that's what we get here. So yeah, I'm oh, and Toby Haynes is directing. Oh yeah, no, Toby Haynes directs half of the series. And I'm a big fan of Toby Haynes's contributions to shows like Doctor Who, well, some of them anyway. But he also has directed episodes of Sherlock, apparently. But oh yeah, so he's like a Backfall, which I guess was one of the most emotively directed episodes of Sherlock. He did 2 episodes of The Musketeers. I can't remember if those were one of my favorites or not, but yeah, he did In My High, which is a very good children's show. So I'm actually kind of very down for this whole very down for this Toby Haynes is kind of taken. Oh, he also directed Brexit and Civil War, which was a weird drama film, but that was the thing. So yeah, and it's 4 days, so we're gonna, gosh, okay, so I'm gonna have She-Hulk, I'm gonna have Lower Decks, I'm gonna have Rings of Power, and I'm gonna have Andor. I guess I should be glad that I'm reaching the point where I have coursework to do, because by golly, I'm lots of time. Oh well, that's my reactions to this. I have one more trailer to watch, which is the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer, so stick around, and I'm going to set up a new stream for that very shortly.